In this video, I'm going to introduce you to a concept that can help you change your perspective on limitations to see them as a positive force for creating new opportunities and ideas. Hi, this is Sam and welcome to Knowledge Node. So this episode we're talking limitations. So very prevalent theme at the moment. Obviously over the world we've never been in such a position in recent history where such a collective of us have had limitations imposed on us, and it can be very easy to feel stuck, to feel restricted, to feel lost, and it can be easy to fall into a mindset of there's nothing to do or there's nothing that can be done. And the problem is when we adopt this mindset is that automatically writes off all possibilities of anything else happening. So the concept I want to introduce you today will help us, if we're adopting this mindset of there's nothing that can be done, there's nothing to do, to get the cogs turned again and actually see limitations as a way of sparking creativity and making us think outside the box and see opportunities where we at first thought there was none. So this concept is called creative constraints, and it doesn't mean creative just in terms of the arts, but I'm going to use art as an example because it's really easy to understand. So say you were given a brief to create a piece of art and that was it, that was the brief. You can create a piece of art out of anything, any material, any subject, whatever you want. You have complete freedom. So at first this freedom sounds liberating, sounds like a great idea, but most of us, especially if we're not artists anyway, we were given this brief, we would think, well, where do I even start? What do I do? It's too much freedom. However, if someone were to say to you, okay, you've got to make a piece of art, but you've got to use coloured pencils and you can only use 3 colours, and the topic that you've got to create a piece of art about is something that is meaningful to you. So this is going to be a hell of a lot easier to come up with an idea, and it's likely going to make us more creative, and most of us will come up with a much better piece of art than if we had no limits at all. So in this example you can see how having some limits in place actually narrows our focus and actually sparks the creativity to work in a much more effective way as we have to engage in a sort of problem solving. So this applies not only to art but to business and to life in general, and this is because in a business, in our life, limitations are everywhere and they inform all of our decisions. So if we're at work and we have a project that's going to be influenced by limitations such as how much money the project has, what team of people you have at your disposal, what resources, what the time frame is. All of these things are at first can seem as a constraint, but what they're going to do is they're going to make you more resourceful and make you more creative to work out of what you already have. So that is the core principle at this concept of creative constraints. It's all about getting the most out of what you already have, and you find that when you actually start looking at things from this approach, that there's so much more that you wasn't seeing, that it's a lot easier to think outside the box when the box is smaller. So let me provide an example that's relevant to us at the moment. So lots of limits that have been placed on us on where we can go and the people that we can see. We can only see the people within our household. So in order to get past the limitation of not being able to see each other physically, we've had to come up with new ways of communicating with our families and our friends that we didn't explore before. So lots of us have chose to start doing Zoom calls with our friends and families, and this isn't something that most of us were using before unless we were using it for work. And this is not only something that is going to last for lockdown. A lot of us, in the case of me, from my family, we might not see each other half as often as we Zoom call each other, and now we understand that this is an option of communication that we can take with us from the lockdown. So in this case of the lockdown for us, we've actually made a gain out of it, that we've opened up new communication channels that we can communicate more often and more intimately than just a phone call. That's the idea I wanted to share with you today, just a little change of perspective, so when we're feeling limited we can think about creative constraints as an idea and think, what is the most that I can get out of what I have? So instead of thinking about how limited we are, think about how we can get the most out of the situation we're in with whatever we have at our disposal. It's by asking ourselves these questions that makes us open up ourselves to creativity, new opportunities, and realising that solutions have to come from limitations. That's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed the idea and I hope it's of some use to you next time you're feeling limited. If you do have a story about a time where you at first perceived something as a limit or you felt limited and you overcome that limit, then I would love to hear that story. You can share it with me, comment here or on whichever platform I'm going to share it on, because who doesn't love a story of someone turning a negative into a positive? So if you like this video, give it a like, and if you would like to see more, then please subscribe. And that's it from me this week, and I'll see you with another episode next week.